Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to actively read using symbols as annotations. Before we begin, let's define a few terms. The first one is active reading. Active reading is when we look at a text in a critical and deep way. We engage with the text before, during, and after reading. In active reading, we slow down when we read so that we can really understand and break down the details of the text. With this particular strategy we'll be learning today, we will focus on the during phase of active reading. Another term you need to know is annotations. This occurs when you make notes using underlines, symbols, phrases, etc. when you are reading. You can see in my document to the right that I have done all of those things. Also, note that I didn't write incomplete sentences and I just used words, underlines, phrases, or symbols. Today we are going to focus on how to use symbols in active reading. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Summarizing information read in the margins can be helpful when doing assignments or revisiting readings. Symbols like the ones to the right are great ways to summarize information read. For example, instead of having to write the phrase important information, you could just highlight and put a star symbol next to the important section. This gives you more room to write other notes and helps you easily identify the section for your return. Notes should be as brief as possible and symbols allow you to do that. In the example on the next slide, I'm going to show you how to use symbols as annotations. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that you don't want to go overboard with too many symbols. You want to start with a few and then slowly add more. We recommend having about 3 to 5 different symbols that you use consistently across different readings. Also, choose symbols that are going to represent their meaning. It's nice to have a page with fewer words, but you also have to make sure you remember what each symbol represents. In this reading about Langston Hughes, I'm going to utilize 3 symbols when I read. The star to highlight important information, the circle for indicating new words, and the question mark for sections that I don't understand and that I want to ask a knowledgeable person about, such as a teacher, a parent, a friend, or my personal favorite, Professor Google. So let's go through this example. Introduction. Langston Hughes, 1902 to 1967, was a celebrated African-American poet and short story writer. Born in Joplin, Missouri, he moved often in his youth before settling in Cleveland, Ohio, where he attended high school. In this first sentence, there is some key information and facts about Langston Hughes. They are highlighted, and I put a star next to them on the side to indicate that this is important information. He began writing as a teenager and first published his poetry in his school newspaper. He attended Columbia University but left before graduating, instead immersing himself in the Harlem Renaissance, a blossoming of African American art, writing, and thought in the 1920s and 1930s centered in the Harlem neighborhood of New York City. As you can see in this sentence, again, there was some key information here. Langston Hughes was part of the big movement, the Harlem Renaissance. So I really want to emphasize that, and I put a star there. I also saw that there were some words I didn't know, so I circled them so that I can go look them up later or ask someone. Hughes's writing helped to develop the jazz style of poetry, drawing on the improvisation and lyricism of the music, and much of his poetry explored themes of racial and social inequality. Again, there were some words that I didn't know, and then I also had a question. So in this reading, it mentions jazz style of poetry, and I'm not really sure what that means. I know that jazz comes up a lot in music as a musical style and poetry part of English literature. So having it put together, not quite sure kind of how that all goes, so I'm going to ask a knowledgeable person. And I can do that after I'm done the reading because I have indicated that with a question mark. As you read I Too Sing America, 1945, consider the following questions. To whom is he responding that he too sings America? Who else sings America? How does the beginning of the poem, I Too Sing America, relate to its ending, I Too Am America? Emphasis added. Whose darker brother is he? And why does he think that things will change? And on what hope does he draw? In this last section here, I use the question mark, and it kind of has a dual meaning here. On the one hand, it summarizes what's happening in this paragraph. There are a series of questions that are presented by by the article. I also have the question mark there because I too have those questions about this poem, and I think they are really important. That also leads me to explaining why I also put a star. I think the article creator wants us to be able to answer these questions by the end of reading the poem and really wants us to think about these items. So I also put a star in addition to the question mark here. Notes should be as brief as possible, and symbols allow you to do that. Thanks so much for learning with me today. If you have any questions or want more assistance, please feel free to email us. Be sure to also check out our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more videos, resources, and tips. See you next time. Bye.